So in the previous episode about numbers, we talked about counting in French from 1 to 10. Now that there are no longer any secrets about counting in French to 10, let's keep counting. Let's keep learning about French numbers. Today, we are going to cover French numbers from 1 to 100. Are you ready? So welcome here, leave your day behind, and let's go. Let's learn some French. Bonjour and welcome to French avec Ingrid, a channel where I help you learn French in small and easy steps. This episode is a simplified episode for those of you who are absolute beginners. If you'd like a little bit more of a challenge, you can listen to the episode that I have recorded entirely in French. In this video, we are going to demystify that counting in French is really complicated. Because like with everything, if you break it down, it really isn't. I am going to show you that there is really not that much to learn when you want to be able to count in French to 100. And in fact, you have already done a big chunk of that work when you learned to count to 10 in our previous episode. Let's do a very quick recap of these numbers to begin with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The next 10 numbers after that, the numbers 10 to 20, will also play a big role in counting to 100. Let's have a very quick listen first before diving a little bit deeper. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 et 20. I expect that in what you've just heard, you could identify two different types of numbers. The numbers ending with the sound Z from 11, 11 to 16, 16, and numbers which are composed of the French word for 10, 10, and another number, 17, 18, 19. In numbers 11 to 16, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, the sound Z at the end of each of those words is in fact an indicator for 10. It comes from the old Latin word for 10, decem, which gradually morphed into the current sound Z. And from the number 17 onwards, you'll simply find a strong similarity between the French and English numbers. In both languages, we simply add another number to the number 10. 17, 17, 18, 18, 19, 19. 17, the 10 is at the end of the word. 17, the French word for 10, is found at the beginning of the word in French. The addition of the two numbers is even more obvious in French, where we simply write the two numbers separated by a dash. 10 plus 7, 17. 10 plus 8, 18. 10 plus 9, 19. So for the numbers between 10 and 20, all that's new really are the numbers between 11 and 16. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 et 16. 17, 18, 19, they are so very similar to English and composed of numbers you already know, so they are really straightforward and easy to remember. There is no change in pronunciation for the numbers 11 to 16, but the rules that we've learned in episode 1 for the numbers 7, 8 and 9, 7, 8, 9, apply for the numbers 17, 18 et 19. Very quickly, they are 7, the letter P is silent, 7 et 17, 8. The final T becomes silent before a consonant. So for instance, 8 enfants, 18 enfants, 8 voitures, 18 voitures. And for 9, the final F is sounded V in front of two words, 9 heures and 9 ans, and that applies in the same manner for 19. 19 heures and 19 ans. So there you go, that's you sorted with counting in French from 1 to 20. And above 20, things are actually quite straightforward for a little while, until 69 in fact. So for numbers 20 to 69, you pretty much only need to learn each 10 numbers. 20, 20, 30, 30, 40, 40, 50, 50 and 60, 60. 20, 30, 40, 50 et 60. Let's give it a go with the 20s to start with. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 et 30. There are just 3 simple things to remember. The letter G in 20 is actually completely silent. On its own, the French number for 20 can be pronounced 20 or 20. Either is correct, but from 21 onwards, we always pronounce the T. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 et 30. And just like in English, we simply add a number after 20. 21, 22, 23, 21, 22, 23, etc. And 21 in French is actually 20 and 1. 21. And that's simply because it would be a little bit difficult to pronounce 21. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 et 30. And you simply continue the same process up until 69. 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69. So there you go. You now know how to count in French to 69. De 1 à 69. Are you ready to move on to counting from 70 to 100? We are actually going to reuse everything that we've learned so far, counting forward. And there are pretty much only 3 new things that you need to assimilate. The next 3 tens, 70, 80 and 90, have in some way their own rule, their own build, if you'd like. 70, 70, 80, 80, 90, 90. 70 is built on 60 plus 10, 60 plus 10, 70. And then you continue to count from 10, from 10 onwards. 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79. 80, 80 is built on this calculation, 4 fois 20, 80, to which you add the numbers 1 to 9. 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88 et 89. And you probably have noticed that we've dropped the and 1 for 81 in this occasion. 81, 90 is built on 80 plus 10, 90, and just like 70, you simply continue counting from 10 onwards. 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, et 100. Et voilà, you've just learned to count to 100 in French. And in order to achieve this, all you have had to really learn is the tens, the next 10 numbers after that, the numbers 10 to 20, and then 20, 30, 40, 50 et 60, 70, 80, 90. So really learning to count in French, it's really about learning a few basics and then reuse them and build up as you go. It's really as simple as that. Okay, shall we have one last go? All together from 1 to 100 for those of you who would like to re-listen to the pronunciation. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99 et 100. I hope you enjoyed this episode and the previous one. I hope you learned some new French and maybe it wasn't just counting. I'm going to say goodbye now. Au revoir, à bientôt, and see you in another episode.